Now, you detail in the book the miraculous military victories of Israel, 1948, 1967, 1973. Can you briefly walk us through those victories?
Oh, well,
Clearly the hand of God in each, in different ways.
oh goodness, it's incredible when you look at the fact that Phil Marshall Montgomery visited Israel in the days prior to the pullout of the British Mandate, which started after World War I, ended on May 15th of 1948. And he said, there's no way this tiny band of Jews, 640,000 Jewish people, surrounded by about 50 million Muslims, Arab Muslims, who had determined to drive them into the sea. Haj Amin al-Husseini, who was the great-grandfather of Yasser Arafat, said, we will finish what Hitler failed to do. We will drive them into the Mediterranean. And so Montgomery said there's no way they can survive a war of independence. They had about 200 or so automatic weapons, about 1,000 old French rifles. You fired them twice and had to put the barrel into a bucket of water to cool them down. Almost no Navy, no Air Force to speak of. These were Holocaust survivors. They didn't know anything about fighting, and yet God brought a Jewish American by the name of Colonel David Marcus to help them in this effort. There were a number of American pilots who virtually violated American law to actually go and help the Israelis fight this conflict. They miraculously won this war. No one thought it could ever happen, but they did. Fast forward 1956, they fought with Nasser over the Suez Canal. They won that short thing. 67, the Miracle War.
Jerusalem.
Israel had grown now numerically and so forth, and they knew that they were about to be attacked. They launched a preemptive strike, and miraculously in 6 days, they devastated the Syrians. They destroyed the Egyptians for all intents and purposes, and could have marched on Cairo had the ceasefire not come. But then the dark days came in the years following that Miracle War, and in October of 1973, the call came, as we write in the book, at about 4 a.m. in the morning. And Golda Meir, the then Prime Minister, said, Mr. President, if you don't help us get this military equipment we need on the ground in about 24 hours, we're going to lose our country. The president at that time, Richard M. Nixon, was embroiled in Watergate. We still had a constitution then, and you couldn't really bypass it. He couldn't go to war. So he got on the phone and he called the Shah of Iran, who used the same type of aircraft that Israel had, because their aircraft in Israel had been largely decimated. The same type of F-4 Phantom jets. He actually, at that time, the Shah of Iran was a friend of the West. And he actually got them to camouflage those aircraft, fly them into Israel, as well as sending additional military equipment. Israel won that war.
I go to Israel frequently, and you do as well, Gary, and people say, are you crazy? Isn't it dangerous going to Israel? But I'll tell you, I feel safer in Israel than I do in Washington, D.C. or New York City at 1 in the morning, I'll tell you that much.
Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, my FedEx guy brings a package a few weeks ago, and somehow or another we got to talk. Oh, it was a shipment from Israel. That's what it was. And he said to me, you know, I'm going to go over there one of these days when things settle down. I said, let me give you some friendly advice. Don't pack. Because there will always be conflicts. But people fail to remember that Israel is the single safest country in the whole world. Why? Because every guy walking down the street who's 18 years of age and older is either in the military now or on reserve duty. And I'm going to tell you, these guys are trained, they're armed. You walk in, it's so funny, you walk into a bank, here's a whole bunch of people in line, everybody's got an Uzi machine gun over their shoulder.
Including the girls.
And the girls as well. I jokingly tell guys, no, guys, when you're in Israel, when she says no, she means no. Yeah. But she's got an Uzi right there and she knows how to use it.
That's
but
right.
The fact is that it is the single most exciting place in the world. Listen, you've been to Hawaii? Okay, you've seen it, you've been there, you've done that. Been to Europe? Okay, done all that. Go to Israel? One time is never enough.
Gary, great book, Miracle of Israel. Thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck with the book.
Hey, thank you, Eric.